lot of them with some potential. And let's go over one right now that's kind of got the label now of being the quarterback that has that quarterback career, because he just seems to never want to leave and keep switching schools every other year here. But he's actually, I think, a lot more intriguing of a prospect than a lot of guys are giving him credit for here, and that's Dylan Gabriel. So Dylan's born December 28th, 2000, so a little bit older there. Oh, yeah. Born in Hawaii, guys, in the island of Oahu, which, by the way, if you guys haven't been, Hawaii is very nice, I must say. I'm a little jealous. I wish I spent more time than I spent there at that point. Though I did have an extended stay when I went because I got COVID, so I got stuck there for a little while longer than I was supposed to be. But it's a nice place, guys. The food's absolutely amazing there too. So went to Milani High School, where he was named the Gatorade High School Player of the Year for Hawaii after throwing for 3,754 yards and 38 touchdowns. Went to UCF. So 2019, you tell the age difference now. We got a little bit older of a quarterback here. Yep. In 2019, 13 games, 59.3 completion percentage, 3,653 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 71 rushes, 78 yards, 4 touchdowns. He took over for Brandon Wimbush in week 1. Like, he was not supposed to be the starter, guys. Took over week 1 and never looked back from there. 2020 at UCF, 10 games, 60% completion percentage, 3,570 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's a damn good TD interception ratio, I must say, as a second-year starter. 72 rushes, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns, was second-team All-AAC. 21 at UCF, 3 games, 70 of 102, 814 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 24 rushes for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. His season ended very early with a broken left clavicle. So obviously that's a little difficult to play with a broken bone. So he announced on social media in November that he would leave UCF. Reported he wanted to play closer to home and on a bigger stage. So he then committed to playing at University of California in December, only to change his mind and switch to Oklahoma, which, for those who are geographically challenged, University of California is much closer to Hawaii than Oklahoma. And that was just a few weeks later there. A desire to play with his former offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, was his deciding factor. He was his OC at UCF in 2019, his very first year there. They had a pretty good relationship there. 22 at Oklahoma, 12 games, 3,168 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 89 rushes for 315 yards and 6 touchdowns. Big 12 offensive newcomer of the year, second team all Big 12. 23, 12 games, 69.3 completion percentage, 3,660 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 93 rushes, 373 yards, and 12 touchdowns. First team all Big 12. And honestly, I was kind of hoping he'd come out last year. I liked him last year. I thought he'd be a decent player there to have as a late round flyer pick, because, like we talked about going into that draft last year, we knew we weren't getting one of the top 3. We knew. I know it's government talk. Oh, man, we can trade up. Nobody was trading away from their top 3 picks, guys. We all knew that. In December of 23, announced he would enter the transfer portal again. It was reported he was upset over offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby leaving Oklahoma, who became the head coach at Mississippi State, where he is currently, and a desire to play closer to home.
Went out to Oregon.
I guess it is closer. So rumors were he was also upset by how the NFL scouts viewed him. So just 5 days after announcing, he announced he'd be transferring to the University of Oregon. This year so far to Oregon, 10 games, 74.1 completion percentage, 2,848 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 43 rushes for 148 yards and 6 touchdowns. Guys, this guy has like the like I said, he's got the kind of the stamp on him of being a college QB. There's a lot of guys out there that think this is what he is. He's a college QB. He's a guy who pop up in the NFL for a little bit, maybe spending some time as a backup or on practice squads. But that's where a lot of people think he's going to be. I got to say, when I watch the tape on him, I don't see star. I'm not going to say that. I think in the right system that uses him to his strengths, I think he could be a potential, I don't want to say a great player, but like a mid starter. Like we talked about Kirk Cousins before. Like even I would say a little bit below him. I don't think he's as good. I don't think the ceiling's that high, but I think he's a guy who could, in the right position, in the right situation, that one that a team that plays to his strengths, and he has the right supporting cast around him. I think he could be a starter. Athletic, dual threat QB, good pocket passer, can go off script. He does the cons doesn't throw well deep. That's what I say about as far as playing to his strengths. We talk about the Giants offense quite often. What does Dable love? Quick, small receivers that do short routes and get yak yards. I'm not trying to set the table for him to go here. I'm just saying what we're talking about here does kind of fit what he does. One of the cons also, as he potentially maxed out being 6 years in college. Let's be honest here, guys. He should have 1.5 degrees by now. He does also have trouble with man coverage. You can see it pretty often. He's a guy who can pick apart zones in college. Man coverage, you get some good coverage positions there. He's a little more trouble with the tighter windows there. Smaller size and tends to stare down receivers. So that's the scary part, is you do see cons in a guy that's still been 6 years in college.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, I haven't watched him closely. I have watched Oregon because I like the cornerback Jabbar Muhammad. So I have watched Oregon. I haven't watched Gabriel closely. So just off the bat, the size scares me. The size scares me. He's a smaller guy, and when you're a smaller guy, you have to find throwing lanes, and that's why you said. So it makes sense that he's good against zone defenses, because again, you're trying to find areas, pick spots, and and take care of the ball in that sense. I like that he's athletic. I don't like that he's a small guy, because when you're athletic but you're also a small guy, that could go against better judgment of what he can actually be. I do think that he plays with a lot of heart. He does have confidence. We've seen it. He celebrates with the best of them. But I also think that, to your point, he definitely not a day one guy. To me, he's a day 3 guy, and you put him in the right scenario. You don't expect him to be. You don't even expect for him to be a guy that you plan on in 2 years. He's one of those guys, kind of like, if you want to put like a Brock Purdy, where you don't expect him to come in there and do something, but if he's called upon in the right situation with the right coaching, he can actually surprise some people. Maybe not surprise you, because I know you're, like I said, you're a little bit high on him, but for all those years, that's a lot. That's a lot of time to be in college. And the same thing with Bo Nix, right? For me, and he went to Oregon too. Like, all these years, you better be pretty good if you've been in college this long.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're okay. Same thing with the next guy too on the list. But
I mean, he's getting old enough that if he like meets the father of a college girlfriend, the father's going to say he's too old for his daughter now at this point. That's where he's getting to that kind of age. Like I said, I'm not ridiculously high on him. I just think this is a guy that could surprise some people.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you love the story of the underdog?
I do love the under, and that's part of what the Cam Ward thing is for me too. To be very frank with you, like, I love, I love when people deal with adversity, because I think you gain things from it that you can't naturally gain without those adversities. And it's like, there's people that can say, I have resolve, I have the drive to do X, Y, Z. If you've never had to face the adversities, you don't know that.
That's
true. Be very frank on that. Like, there are times
you can say whatever you want, but when
it's like, I love when people tell a story like, well, if I was in that scenario, I'd do that. You have no goddamn clue what you would do until you're in certain scenarios. Like, I've seen guys that are like massive, like big guys that like talk tough all the time and stuff like that. And the second someone goes to fight, they back down and run away scared. That fight or flight kicks in. It is what it is. I love when somebody has fight or flight and it switches to fight almost 9 times out of 10.
He's that. Now, he's definitely that. He's that. He's that. Like, again, when I've watched, and those are late games. When you watch in Oregon, Friday night is a late game, Saturday is a late game, and by the time I see an Oregon game, I've watched probably 4 games already that day. and probably switched around to another 6 or 7 games that day too. But again, I was looking at Jabbar Muhammad. But again, he is a guy that most likely Oregon wins a national championship. I think they can win a national championship and with him. Like he's the one making plays, he's the one leading this team. And you never want to doubt a guy just because you have predetermined I guess a predetermined idea of, okay, this is a smaller guy. I got the Rudy complex with him. I want to root for him. He's tough. He's everything you want to be, but he's just small.
Yeah.
But he's also pretty good.
And it's funny because whenever there's a small guy, you go, well, so-and-so was the same size. And it's like, yeah, if you have to go to one person, that just proves the point.
Well, Doug Flutie
had
that Hail Mary.
Drew Brees was also 5'11". Like yeah.
Is he 5'11" though? Is he 5'11"?
Supposedly. Again, supposedly. We'll see. We'll see when that comes out. One thing I look at with him is, where it might be a good spot for him if they decide to get a next quarterback of the future potentially. I'm going to give you an oddball spot you might not be thinking right now, because there's a guy who's about to get an extension this offseason, I think, and the team he's at, that I think this guy would be a perfect backup to.
Who's that?
Seattle.
Guess what? It's closer to Hawaii.
It is close to Hawaii.
No, that makes sense. I actually like that. I like that because with Geno Smith, it's a crapshoot, because the first time he has a bad season, they're going to be out on him.
Yep.
And but
it's also, again, you can sit him to work on the things
absolutely.
like the staring down the receivers, the man coverage issues and stuff like that. It's a well-run franchise that'll put the weapons and people around him to succeed.
Coaching staff too. Actually, I like that. I like that a lot. It's not the same scenario as just saying the Rams.
I know.
I like that.
We want to go see the Rams for everybody, but
I really do like that. Who's the backup in Washington? I mean, who's the backup in Seattle right now?
What's his name? What's his name that they got from the Commanders?
That's right. Howell. Sam Howell.
Yeah,
that's right.
Howell.
That's right. Yeah. No, I like that a lot, actually. I like that a lot because, again, you don't go in there with the pressure of having to be the person. And he's good enough to stick for sure.
Yep.
He's good enough to stick. Can he beat out Sam? I don't know what they got Sam Howell on the rookie contract, so that's probably one more year that he's going to be available. So that's smart
for a year.
No, that's smart. I like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he were to beat out Sam Howell. And also with Geno Smith, he has a tendency to not play every game every season, so you might get a good chance to look at him too. So I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
And here's what Draft Network said about him before the season. They said Gabriel is a fun, impactful college quarterback, but has physical limitations. He projects as a backup quarterback in an RPO West Coast offense where he can hit short to intermediate routes and horizontal throws for big plays. He could succeed in the right/perfect situation. And like I said, that's where I'm at. The same thing. I think he could succeed in the right perfect scenario. I think that's a perfect way of putting it there. But he's got to, like I said, it's got to be where he's got the weapons around him to help him, because of the fact that he's not going to be the best quarterback in the world. His throws aren't going to be perfect dead on. He's never going to be that guy. But if you get him a guy in a situation where you have a bunch of West Coast offense kind of routes, the short routes, the intermediate routes, you don't count on the big bombs. You have a decent running game to help him out, so you can use that, to kind of take the heat off of him. I think it could be.
I got a question.
Yeah,
I got a question for you. There's a team that I hate even more than the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I got where you're going already.
That could be another spot for him.
Are you suggesting the Eagles?
I am suggesting the Eagles.
That's so far from Hawaii, it's not even funny.
It is absolutely far. It's not even the same ocean. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the scenario. You have a solidified starter.
Yep.
You run that RPO type of offense. You have the weapons on the outside. You do have a strong running game. You have a strong offensive line. Hurts doesn't miss as many games. Time to develop. Right now, you have
Kenny Pickett, though, is still what, 2 more years? Is it 1 more year after
this?
Who
is it? It's Kenny Pickett and is it Tanner McKee that are back there?
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about McKee.
No, Kenny Pickett's washed.
I know that, but he's as a backup, he's at least a guy with some experience and some abilities. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're right.
He's cheap and I feel like
I'm just thinking about the
they're spending their
scenario.
money on 35-year-old corners and 30-year-old running backs. So
What about Miami?
you're gonna say that for everybody, aren't you?
Miami, I mean,
I know. I'm with you. I'm with
to
you.
me, Tua is
I mean,
Tua is a crapshoot. Like,
yeah.
did you watch the game? The Miami game Monday night?
No, we were actually recording. We record Monday night. So
Okay, he threw an interception, right? And he was going to make the tackle, and I felt nervous. I felt so nervous. Like, I'm like, this guy still doesn't quite like. I understand you threw the interception. I understand, you diving at somebody's legs to tackle him. He did get the guy out of bounds, but I'm just sitting like, no, please don't.
And
Please
my whole
don't.
thing is like, and I always say people should have the autonomy to do whatever they want with their own damn bodies. And this is one of those scenarios where I have to second guess that train of thought when the man's saying, I don't want to put a guardian cap on. Like, are you kidding me? Just the fact that second guess putting a guardian cap on means you need a guardian cap. It means you're already mentally being affected by this thing. I feel bad for him because honestly,
and the guardian caps don't look bad either.
Yeah, listen, they look a little funky in my eyes, but it is what it is.
I mean, when they put the the cover over top of it, there's one thing.
Listen, I'd rather see him with the guardian cap and on a stretcher.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's where it comes down to, and I get, that's what his life's been. As Rob says, he tried tackling with his face.
Oh boy, yeah, you saw it. Yeah.
Listen, at least he wasn't trying to tackle Derrick Henry with his pants down. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I saw that too.
Somebody did a thing on TikTok where it was like it was too much butt on the field.
Oh my gosh.
Like they did a fake penalty. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I beg